Imagine standing in front of a pile of rusty metal that most people would haul straight to the junkyard. You run your fingers along the rough, flaking surface, and instead of seeing trash, you see something beautiful waiting to come back. This one moment shows exactly what separates a certain kind of person from everyone else, the mind of someone who chooses to bring old things back to life instead of buying new ones. It's easy to think car restoration is just a hobby, something retired people do to pass the time. But if you really look, it's actually a deep window into why we do what we do, who we are, and our need to control something in a world that feels out of control. What makes someone spend years and thousands of dollars fixing up a car from the 1960s? The answer isn't under the hood, it's in their head. Researchers who study personality have found that serious restorers share certain traits. They score really high on something called conscientiousness, meaning they're careful and hardworking. But there's more to it. They're also okay with not knowing what comes next and waiting a long time for results. The rest of us want things now, a text back, a package, a like on a post. But restorers play a different game. They're fine taking apart something complicated with no promise they can put it back together. That's not just being stubborn, it's a special kind of mental strength. Think about how hard this actually is. You might spend 2 years just looking for the right door handle for a 1967 Jaguar. You could build a fender from a flat piece of metal using skills most people lost generations ago. This isn't for someone who needs a quick win. This is for someone who finds real happiness in small steps forward, day after day. They're building a cathedral while the rest of us eat fast food. So why does this feel so good? Why do restorers talk about their garages like they're special places? The answer is something called flow. A psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent years studying it. Flow is when you're so into what you're doing that you forget everything else. Time disappears. You don't think about yourself. Fixing a carburetor or welding a seam takes all your attention. The stress from work, the news, the fighting online, none of it exists. Just you and the problem. It's like meditation, and studies show it's one of the best ways to feel truly happy. For a lot of people, the garage becomes more than a place to work. It becomes a place to heal. Think about it. A car won't judge you. It won't talk back or tell you you're doing it wrong. It just sits there, waiting for you to figure things out. That makes it a safe place to deal with other stuff. A guy going through a hard divorce can find peace in how an engine makes sense. Someone who lost a loved one can put all that sadness into making chrome shine again. The car holds those feelings when real life can't. This connects to something called object relations theory. It says the way we relate to things can help us understand how we relate to people. A restoration project is the perfect safe thing to practice on. You learn to be patient when you want to yell. You learn to deal with it when a bolt breaks. And when you finally get it right, you feel like you actually did something. It's a relationship where you're in charge and the other side never lets you down. Then there's nostalgia. And nostalgia isn't just missing the old days. It's actually a way our brains cope. Studies show feeling nostalgic makes us less lonely and reminds us that life means something. When someone fixes up a 1970 Dodge Challenger, they're not just working on a car. They're reaching back to a time that feels simpler, more real. They're touching a past that seems better than today. It doesn't matter if that past really existed that way. What matters is how it makes them feel. Life today is chaotic. The news never stops. The economy goes up and down. Jobs disappear. Where do you find something solid? For restorers, it's sitting under a tarp in the garage. A restoration project gives you something rare now, total control. You pick the color. You pick the engine. You pick the seats. This is your world, and you're the one building it. Research says this matters a lot. Feeling like you're in charge of something helps you handle stress and keeps you strong. When you finally turn the key and that engine, which sat dead for decades, roars to life, you've done something real.
Most of us don't make anything physical anymore. We stare at screens and move numbers around. But this is different. This connects you to something old and important. You can stand back and say, I did that. I made this from nothing. And that feeling fights off the fear that you don't really matter. But it's not just about one person. Go to a car show and you'll find a whole tribe. These groups run on skill and shared knowledge. Nobody cares what job you have. All that matters is what you can do and what you know. Older guys teach younger ones. You earn respect by putting in the work, not by having money. In a world where people feel more alone than ever, this gives you a place to belong. You're not just some name. You're a Mopar guy or a Porsche person. This also touches something deeper, the need to leave something behind. We all know we're not going to be here forever. We want to know we mattered. Fixing a car that's 60 years old and making it last another 60 is a way to beat time. Psychologist Erik Erikson called this generativity, which means caring about what comes after you. Your patience and skill live on in that car. Long after you're gone, someone's grandkid might be driving it. A piece of you keeps going. Everything around us says buy new, throw away, upgrade. The restorer says no to all that. They find worth in what everyone else threw out. They pick skill over convenience and fixing over replacing. This isn't just what they do, it's what they believe. And living by what you believe makes you feel solid inside. It builds who you are. The work itself teaches you forever. To fix a car, you have to learn mechanics and wiring and painting and upholstery. Learning new things keeps your brain young and strong, but the best part is knowing you really can do something. Beating a video game feels good for a minute. Understanding how a whole machine works and fixing it with your hands, that stays with you. That's real. Nobody can take it. Listen to restorers talk and you'll hear words that sound almost religious. They say the car tells them what's wrong. They talk about bringing it back to life. This isn't just talk. In a world where a lot of old meaning has faded, restoring something fills the empty space. It becomes a reason to get up. And having a reason, something hard that needs you, is one of the biggest things that makes life good. So what happens when it's done? The last bolt tight, the final polish, the car drives out on its own. For a lot of people, there's a strange letdown. It's over. The thing that gave every day a purpose is gone. The pride is real, but so is the empty feeling. That's why they almost never stop at one. They don't really want the finished car. They need the work. They need the road. The people who go into their garages and come out years later with something beautiful aren't just hobbyists, they're psychologists and philosophers working in metal. They show us something true about being human, that meaning lives in the hard parts, not just the finish line, that patience still matters, that using our hands connects us to parts of ourselves the modern world tries to kill. Next time a classic car drives by, stop for a second. Don't just see how good it looks. See the thousands of hours in every curve. See the healing and the purpose and the people who helped. You're not just watching a car. You're watching a human story written in metal about what makes life worth living. If this look inside the mind meant something to you, hit like so more people on Winds of Thought can find these stories. Thanks for watching.